objective for today is by the end of the lesson, I, which is you as students, will be able to write an informative paragraph describing the figurative great heart by using the I plus to seek paragraph model. So, by the end of the lesson, that means that at the end of the lesson today, you will be writing this paragraph. It's going to be an informative paragraph. I want everybody to underline informative and put inform above it. Because when we are writing an informative paragraph, our goal is to inform the reader. So inform. So inform the reader. Write an informative paragraph describing the figurative great heart. Oh, well, I'm going to ask myself, well, what is the figurative great heart? Can someone tell me what the figurative great heart is? What are some adjectives that we use to describe someone who has a figurative great heart? Fabian? Okay, so that's a person. But can someone tell me what are some of the adjectives that we use to describe someone with figurative great heart? Okay, Fabian.
Generous.
Awesome. Generous is one of them, so I want you to write generous. Above it, what's another one? Edith? Courageous. Awesome. So we are applying our prior knowledge to this objective. We can use what we already know to help us complete this objective. And the next one. Madison. We have generous, courageous, and heroic. By using the I to seek model. I plus to seek model. So when we're talking about the I to seek model, we are talking about the introduction, which is I, and you don't need to write this, I'm just going to model it for you, is the I. The TOS is the topic statement, and we've already done this before. The E is the evidence, good job. The second E is what, Glenn? The explanation or elaboration. And then the last one is the conclusion. So by the end of the lesson, we'll be able to write a paragraph that informs the reader about a person who is courageous, generous, or heroic, and we'll be using the introduction plus topic statement plus evidence plus elaboration plus conclusion model. So in our paragraph, we will be having 5 sentences. Now this objective relates to the following standards. Standard W4.2, W4.4, and W4.9. The first one talks about us being able to write informative paragraphs that talk about a topic, which is the figurative heart. The second one is talking about our writing being clear, which we will be able to do. And then the last one is talking about us using evidence. Again, we will be able to use evidence because one of these sentences is evidence. So this objective is important because, one, we see writing in everyday life. We see it when we're driving on the highway. We see signs that are telling us which way to go. When we are reading a restaurant menu, we see writing. Also, you guys have been discussing a lot about what the figurative great heart is. Now, all of that knowledge that you have in your head, I want you to be able to write it and communicate. So, writing is important because it's a way for us to communicate what we know. Also, if we are able to write using evidence and then an elaboration, we will be better able to support our claims. So, basketball fans, for instance, you do not have to be a basketball fan, but this is an example. You might say, oh, and if you don't agree with this, just use your sign language. You might say LeBron James is better than Steph Curry, who are 2 basketball players, okay? So some of us disagree, some of you agree. Put your hands down. How do you support your claim or your opinion? You support it by using stats. That's our evidence. That would be our evidence saying that LeBron James is better because he scores this amount. That shows, which is our elaboration, that shows that he is a better shooter because he's scoring more points. That's an example, though, of us using evidence to support our claims and then providing an elaboration. So if we are able to do this in our writing, we'll be able to support our claims better. Next, it will also help us in school. It will help us with, and I'm going to wait for a second. It will help us with our end of module task because we're going to be writing an informative essay that uses a paragraph that describes, Christopher, I'm going to wait for you, that describes the figurative great heart. So we can use what we're doing in class today to help us on our end of module task. So that's our long-term goal. It will also help us on PARC, because on PARC, you have to write an informative essay. So you can use this same model on PARC. So it will set you up, if you're able to reach this objective, it will set you up for being successful on PARC. Now, we're going to take a look over here at our criteria for success. So how do you know that you have reached this objective? And I need all eyes up here. Fabian, you're doing a really good job. Christopher, waiting. Thank you. How do you know that you have reached this objective? Well, you can look over here because this is the rubric that I'm going to be using when I grade your work and when I return it back. Thank you. I'm going to ask, did you use an introduction, a topic statement, an evidence, an elaboration, and a conclusion? Then I'm going to ask, did your introduction introduce the topic of the figurative part? Because that's what an introduction does. Does your topic statement define what a figurative great part is? Which we already said in our objective was someone being courageous, heroic, or generous. Do you provide evidence from Love That Dog that shows when a character in that text was great-hearted or courageous, generous, or heroic? Did you elaborate on that evidence and explain in more detail what that evidence means? And that's when we use our this shows that. So if I see this shows that right after the evidence, then I know that you did the evidence and the elaboration. And then the last one is the conclusion, which sums it up. And we can restate what we put in our introduction in our conclusion. And it's summing everything up. And again, we're going to be using those transition words that we've been working on. So this, if you're able to check off all these boxes, you know that you have reached our objective for today. Thumbs up if you understand.